Sweet Baby Inc. exposed as massive Canadian government-created propaganda organization by Smash JT. well. Look who it is. Kim Belair. We need to threaten. We need to threaten. Um, what was it? Was it developers or marketing teams, whatever? With what's gonna happen if they don't comply? Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Are they actually government, a Canadian government psyop? Is that what this is? Let's go.
Sweet Baby Inc. does exactly what many people suspected, and now we have some definitive evidence proving that they are a state funded organization backed by Canadian governments, all brought to us by Master of the TDS and his wife, Writing Raven, and an incredible report from their YouTube channel, Gothic Therapy. They have just
Wait, I didn't even read that. I didn't read that.
report from their YouTube channel,
Sweet Baby Inc. 2018 to 2025. Their lies caught up with them. Yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. Wow. Again. It just continues. The gift that keeps on giving.
Gothic Therapy. They have just dropped an absolute bombshell report exposing Sweet Baby Inc. as a massive Canadian government created propaganda organization. And man, that's a mouthful. And wow, is anyone really surprised that behind the scenes, this little humble company that
I'm not. I never was. This was very clear from the get-go that this is government funded. Like, how the fuck, where do you get all the money from? With all these failures over and over again, the games that just fail, you getting put away from projects. Companies stop to associate with you. How the fuck are you still alive? Well, here we have the answer.
it's supposed to just be narrative design and injecting some assistance and consultancy in the game industry, really at the end of the day got set up by the Canadian government. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. I saw this video recently from Master of the TDS, so massive shout out to him and his wife, Writing Raven, on their channel Gothic Therapy, discussing a bombshell report of the consultancy agency Sweet Baby Inc. and how their origin story of them just working behind the scenes to
I find that funny though. That the woke company was funded by the government. I find that by a government. I find that so funny. I've also heard some new weird shit about about Canada. I feel like this is if hell exists, it might be Canada.
inject a little bit of assistance with writing stories, really at the end of the day is complete BS. This was a government op from day one, and they got the receipts to prove it. JT. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down Gothic Therapy's massive expose on Sweet Baby Inc. And I know we've talked about them a lot before on this channel, but this one might be the biggest one yet.
Sweet Baby Inc. calls itself a narrative development studio, one that helps marginalized voices tell their stories in games. But in reality, it's a smokescreen. Not just for what they do, but for how they began.
What all started out as this humble so-called narrative development studio aimed at supposedly elevating marginalized voices, read forcibly inject DEI into the video game industry.
Yeah, they're pretty much the reason why some woke shit appears in games and it's completely out of place. They're pretty much the reason. They want to be like this little, like this innocent little, like, you know, consultant company, but they're not really, like, writing. They once wrote a story for an entire game. Their game flopped completely, like, absolute in the trenches. I think it was a Square game, I could be wrong. Um, just, just the classic political nonsense. Hell in Canada, till yesterday Canada was heaven. I don't think so. They literally create this hellish company.
might have actually been something far more sinister all along. According to Gothic Therapy's latest investigation, Sweet Baby Inc.'s founding story isn't just misleading, but it may actually be a complete fabrication entirely. Their video titled The End of the Sweet Baby Lie, Hidden Founder and Built by the Government, uncovers far more than what anyone could have ever imagined in what looks to be a government-backed organization that tries to position themselves as some small boutique studio humbly in Montreal, Canada that's just trying to, do their thing and work in the game industry. And don't look any deeper into all our information because this figurehead of Kim Belair that is this marginalized CEO on the surface really is just a figurehead that got put in place because behind the scenes, this is something far worse.
It's all a lie. Not just the mission statement, not just the smiling PR, the whole thing. From the first sentence of their mission statement to the founder they tried to scrub from history.
Everything you've been told about Sweet Baby Inc. was constructed deliberately. And tonight, we're tearing that construction down.
While their initial story stars David Bedard, Kim Belair, and Adrian McGill coming together to found Sweet Baby Inc. in 2018, Gothic Therapy found official filings that tell an extremely different story.
And the man behind both vanished. No interviews, no credits, not a single mention.
Remember, they got their ass beat so much. They got their ass beat so much that they did their entire website to remove anything that may be like close to like saying anything about DEI. They removed that because they got their ass handed to themselves. And then woke too. Hello. It is what it is. Maybe your version of hell is just kawaii. Fixing myself. Alaska is frozen heaven on earth. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Be right back. Okay, take care.
On SBI's website.
And for someone listed as a vice president, director, and shareholder on day one, that's not silence.
That's erasure.
A mysterious man by the name of Terrence Jason Huberts was actually listed as vice president, director, and shareholder from the very beginning. And of course, oddly, he was erased from the records nearly 1 year later with absolutely no explanation.
In October 2019, over a year after incorporation, Sweet Baby submitted a correction to their corporate filings, one that removed Terrence Jason Huberts entirely and reassigned his share.
So this having information and deleting information afterwards, this like wiping out your trails so nobody can detect you, is a thing they've been doing for the entire time. Interesting. So if they've been doing that from the get-go. Huh.
Shares to Kim Belair retroactively.
And I haven't been able to find anybody that's heard anything about this guy previously.
That's not a correction. That is a cover-up.
They didn't just update the paperwork, they rewrote the past. So anyone checking later would only see the version they wanted remembered.
And Sweet Baby Inc. on the surface clearly wants people not to know anything about this guy, so they cover everything up, put Kim Belair's name instead of his, and then erase the history that used to be there.
And the only thing left? A footnote saying he was there for a single day.
The cover-up going on here is pretty clear. Sweet Baby Inc.
They had this man there for a single day, and then brought it over to Kim Belair. Oh man. Remember, if you are a European, remember Dustborn? Yeah, that was financed with your taxes. If you live in Europe, do with that what you will. By the way,
Inc. filings were retroactively changed to assign all of Hubert's shares to Kim Belair, painting her as somehow the sole founder in the media narratives. But if you think that's crazy, it gets even crazier because digging even deeper into the receipts that Gothic Therapy found, they traced this Terence Jason Huberts back to Terry Huberts, a former British Columbia legislator and government official who served in the late 80s and early 90s. In the archived interviews, he mentions how he had a son named Jason, and everything they talk about adds up to something pretty peculiar. The same very rare name, the same name of a son.
They trace this motherfucker back to his dad. That's crazy. That is wild. So they traced him back to his dad, and therefore found out that he might be like in politics. Interesting.
Everything connecting the dots to the point of Gothic Therapy stating,
We ran the numbers, factoring in the name rarity, generational naming, and the sweet match. The
Goodness, what the fuck? Go back. Probability breakdown on Terence Jason Huberts. Surname Huberts, 1 in 50,000. First name Terence, 1 in 1,000. Middle name Jason, 1 in 300. Some name Jason, 1 in 20. Suit 475 match, random suit, 1 in 1,000. Combined odds, 1 in 100 million. Essentially, making this guy guaranteed to be the shareholder. And the person related to the politics dude. Wow, you mathed.
rarity, generational naming, and the sweet match. The odds of this being a coincidence are 1 in 100 million.
Now, we're not saying it's definitely the same man.
But if it's not, then somehow Canada has 2 people named Terence Jason Huberts. One a corporate ghost, and one a retired politician who publicly mentioned having a son named Jason.
But it goes even deeper than this. Terry Huberts once authored a government framework to embed private contractors into public systems.
The same Terry Huberts who once designed frameworks for embedding private contractors into public systems.
The names match, the dates match, the suite numbers match, and the math does not lie.
And to top all this off, Gothic Therapy also discovered that the company had registered an alternate corporate name, Design Sweet Baby, filed on the same exact day as Sweet Baby Inc. But why would you create a lifeboat? Was this supposedly a backup plan in case the first one fell through and didn't?
The math is in fact mathing. But where does the go? Like, okay. The father is in politics. The son is the first shareholder, or was the first shareholder. Now, how is that connected to being part of the government? Because just because the son doesn't have, like, just because the son is a shareholder, but not a politician, therefore it might not be government funded, but it could be potentially if the money of the dad was used. I don't know.
Didn't work out. I mean, I can't think of another reason why you do that, but hey, I guess at this point we can just make some guesses.
Before we go, there is one last thing that you should see. Because Sweet Baby Inc., it doesn't just have one name.
We found an alias. Design Sweet Baby, filed on the same day, quiet, unlisted, and never explained.
Why register a second name unless you're planning for a lifeboat?
Filed in advance, in case the first identity couldn't stay afloat.
But if that was the plan, it failed. Because now we see it.
This revelation here challenges everything we've been told about how Sweet Baby Inc. came to be. And why shouldn't it? It's not like anyone should believe a damn thing this company spews. The curated image of a small, progressive, grassroots team fighting for diversity in games looks more and more...
That's not progressivism. That is stage 5 woke. I'm gonna coin that. I'm gonna coin that forever. Stage 5 woke. Like, this company has ruined so many damn games that could have had great potential, but because these fuckers worked on them, they absolutely failed. Man.
Like, in the end, it was just this well-funded facade, backed by state-funded resources and stealth influences to push a government agenda and propaganda of diversity using video games as the avenue to pursue it. Pair this all with how journalists have handled Sweet
Yeah, but the people caught on to this quite quickly, which is good. So their plan failed. And they also have, in this case, since the other two have now found out that they have like a government connection, in addition to like having a alias which they could run away with, they can't no more because that's also public now. Well, I guess they're cooked.
Baby Inc. and coddled them and tried to make sure that they've been enabled and protected the entire time that they have existed. It's got to make you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. One particular journalist that stands out in all of this is Alyssa Mercante, someone who used
Not again! Get this bitch out of here! Not Alyssa Mercante again! Didn't you use a job at Kotaku? If I remember correctly? Didn't that happen? Didn't you lose your job at... Good. I think she's working at bars and shit now. I don't know, serving. To quote an insult you said you were gonna use a while back, who gave the permission to grow a brain? Good question.
to write for Kotaku and had an article titled Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what you think they do, and it is a full hit piece on gamers, fully defending Sweet Baby Inc. the entire time. And when I dared question that article, she lost her mind, and that has now progressed to I am being sued by her. And I can't help but think that kind of struck a nerve, almost like these people have a lot to hide, and they don't like people looking into them. Why would that be? This isn't even a conspiracy anymore. We now have the fact-based receipts, thanks to Gothic Therapy putting it all out there, with the evidence-backed, document-supported investigation done magnificently. And it all begs the question, how many more studios or consultancy agencies are out there secretly being propped up to push political or ideological agendas under the guise of storytelling and narrative design in video games, when in reality, no!
Plenty. Remember, I mean, it just makes sense that there's going to be plenty of these. And then you get weird shit like Dragon Age the Veil card, where the chick comes in like, so, I'm non-binary. By the way, this is a somewhat, medieval setting, right? This is a medieval setting. Comes in, so I'm to her parents, or her mom, so I'm non-binary. And the mom was just asking what that is, and she explains what it is, and the mom like, what are you then? If you're neither a man nor a woman, what are you? Like, wouldn't that put you off if you were playing a game in the medieval setting and then this weird modern speech just randomly pops up?
It's not that at all.
The writing team was fired, by the way. All of them.
They want to use video games as the avenue to push their screwed up agenda, which is exactly why gamers have pushed back so hard against them since day one. I also find it interesting how Sweet Baby Inc. uses this whole, oh, gamers are conducting a harassment campaign against us as
And Sweet Baby knows that what they're doing is weird as shit. Because when, I think it was Chris Kindred that slowly started being more and more unhinged and being more problematic for the companies, so they kicked them out. So they know exactly that what they're doing, and that some even people inside the company may become a threat.
As a shield from criticism and any kind of investigation as to what they're actually doing, which is what the gamers have been looking into, and they keep calling that harassment. And it's not, which ironically is the same thing that Alyssa Mercante keeps saying against everyone else that says anything about her when she spews lies about gamers, the game industries, or the game that she's covering, and people try to call it out. She says it's harassment. It's not. It's kind of curious how both these entities continue to use that shield of harassment to try to evade any kind of criticism. And none of this even touches on the fact that one of the former employees of Sweet Baby Inc. that's no longer there, Chris
Chris Kindred.
Kindred, called my old job trying to get me fired, calling me a racist and all these other horrible things on a message they left, which was unhinged as hell.
Yeah, but that's what they do nowadays. If you're at a job, they will call your job and get you fired. If you're at a college, they will call your college and get you kicked out. If you are at a university, they do it. If you have any sponsors, they do it. That just happens. That just happens. We gotta deal with this. We gotta deal with this. That just happens.
An employee of Sweet Baby Inc. got so mad at a YouTuber that they looked into where they worked, tried to find out, and tried to get them fired from their job. Now again, Chris Kindred no longer works at Sweet Baby Inc. after that phone call took place, and I'd like to think Sweet Baby Inc. learned something from that entire situation, but ultimately, the more I find out about this company, the more it seems like they lash out at anyone that tries to do any kind of digging, which makes me feel like they definitely have something to hide, because this is not a normal way for anyone to be reacting about anything. Again, huge shout out to Gothic Therapy for bringing this to everyone's attention, because holy crap, even though a lot of us probably assumed that there was something to do with the government backing them the entire time, there was never any kind of evidence or proof of it until this damning report came out with the information they provided. And I got a feeling there's going to be a lot more that comes out of this now that this has been discovered. Almost feels like the tip of the iceberg in a way. And I'm
Of course it'd be very interesting, right? Of course it'd be very interesting to have like actual like for now it seems more so allegedly, but to have like actual full on like government connection where like the writing is straight up on the wall. I would love to see that happening.
sure Sweet Baby Inc. isn't too happy that this got out there. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article, resources, links, and Gothic Therapy's video. I will link this in the description below. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
Hey yo! Calm down.
And the baby?
The baby is dead. So if you were counting on Design Sweet Baby to be your clean slate, too late.
You can run, little baby, but we will always find you.
That is terrible. That they said this like this. But yeah, true. You can run, little baby, but you can't hide. No more. Well, I wonder if there's gonna be more and more of these consultant companies being like exposed for being government funded entities. It could be interesting to see, but we'll see. They're fucked. They're cooked as usual.